Question number 3. What would you say are some of the advantages and disadvantages of the recruiting process? Advantages and disadvantages of the recruiting process. And this one, we're going to make it open for the panel. So if you have an answer, you can chime in right away. Go ahead.
One disadvantage that talking to kids every year, dealing with it, is the phone calls. And now you got, I mean, that was what, 10 years ago. Now you got social media and texting and everything like that. That can really weigh on them. And I think the one thing that's a huge disadvantage to an athlete, and I think it's important for the parent or the guardian to make sure they have strict times of when that child can be called or contacted. I mean, you have coaches now that will contact them all day long, early morning, late night, whenever. And I think it could be a huge disadvantage. It's nice to get the attention at first, but then after a while it weighs on me. I mean, you've probably talked to Andy, a lot of different athletes, and says, well, Mike, I know you've dealt with some. But the advantage to it all is being able to go to places you probably never thought you could go to. You know, I was a kid growing up in the D.C. area, and for me to go to Ohio was a big thing, or going to a recruiting trip in Florida, or it broadens your horizon. So many kids that I know, especially where I go to church, some of our kids have never been outside of Norfolk. And so the advantage is you got a chance to go see some of the world, to see how the other world lives. And I think that can be a huge advantage. It can open up a child's mind. They can think so small and only think the world revolves around Norfolk and the Southampton Roads area. But to give them a chance to go out and see how other people live, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. So I think that's a huge advantage of the whole recruiting process.
I'll dovetail on what you're saying about a disadvantage. I've heard kids say that they've been recruited and they get to college and all of a sudden the work begins. And I can't express enough, especially if you're highly recruited, even moderately recruited, it's easy for a kid to fall in love with the romance of the coaches pursuing them. And you have to realize that, as it's been said before, college athletics is a business. They are loving you up because they want you to come there. Once you get there, the real work starts. Being a college athlete is nothing at all like being a high school athlete. High school athletics are fun. College athletics are business.
The honeymoon is over.
The honeymoon is over. And let me tell you, the college coach who's recruiting you now is recruiting your replacement next year. So if you can't hold down your spot in the depth chart, they're going to find somebody who can. So you always have to improve, and that's not really a negative about the recruiting process, but the negative to me is that it's easy to get caught up in being loved up and being wanted, and then once you lock in, you're married, it can be like a marriage. You got to put the work in for it to be successful.
I would say an advantage is you get to meet some great people, and some of those connections you made you can have still with some of even the places that you didn't go. You tend to either play against or run into those coaches at other places, and they can remember that they maybe recruited you, and also be like a great networking tool afterwards. Some of a disadvantage is anymore students get recruited earlier, and I think they sometimes get locked into a school and not giving themselves a chance to see what other opportunities might be available to them. If you are sold on a school and that's the school you've always wanted to go to, you're going to be able to get in, and that's where you're passionate about, that's one thing. But because that was your first phone call ever and they, again, sold you all these streams, it doesn't mean you have to commit. You can still keep things, open. And maybe you are a multi-sport athlete as well. And because you got recruited for basketball, but you're a great football player, or you're a great lacrosse player, or field hockey, whatever it is that you do, sometimes you get pigeonholed really quickly, and then you become a one sport because now I'm an 8th grader or 9th grader, and my coach said that this school asked about me. So you start just focusing, instead of, especially in middle school and early on, where you can just have fun playing other sports and seeing because you might be better at one thing than another. So that's, I think, a disadvantage sometimes with students really locking into one place instead of maybe seeing what other options could be better for them. Even though maybe UVA over here, but then you might have Longwood. Maybe Longwood could be the better fit.
I think with recruiting, early recruiting, and more specifically early recognition, can be a blessing and a curse. Because I've seen a lot of very talented kids who think they've arrived because they have 4-star, 5-star tag next to their name, and they stop working. You stop improving. When you stop working at your craft, everyone else is getting better while you're not. And it's too easy to fall prey to, oh, well, I'm good, and I've got an offer from Notre Dame or Ohio State or whoever, and there's a lot of kids that get these offers and can follow through, but there is a temptation to say, I've made it. I'm the #1 high school quarterback in America, or whatever the case may be. Unfortunately, sometimes early recognition does no favors to the kids that get their heads big.
I guess to wrap up what everybody's saying, remember it's a business. Like we've said earlier, know what you want to get out of it, because they know what they want out of your kid. So if you're going in with a plan, and again, you have a bigger picture of being all conference, all academic, again, getting that degree, knowing where that school has ties to in terms of employees, looking at the big picture and just understanding that there are just as many good student athletes on that team and how they got you. So you're competing with your teammates, so to say, to stay on that team. But you have to make sure that you do something to separate yourself.
So one of the things I would say about the recruiting process is, making sure that you know things like look at the school's APR, look and see what their graduation rates are. Are the athletes graduating? Are they going to class? Like, it's beyond just the athletic thing. Look at the whole picture. Let's don't be stuck into one single thing. But Scott, I know you walk away. Did you have anything to add to that question? All right, so we'll look at the next question, which is, what are the 3 key factors of being a proficient student athlete? 3 key factors of being a proficient student athlete.
Personal drive and work ethic. Because once you get to that level of being a student athlete, 9 times out of 10, you're kind of going to be on that island by yourself, because again, you're going to have to do what you need to do to stay where you are, to continue your athletic scholarship. If you're a scholarship student athlete, Division I, do they have multiple year contracts? Yes, but you got to know that that school participates in that. So if they don't do multi-year contracts and scholarships, it's a year-to-year thing. Division II, same thing. You're not going to be able, 9 times out of 10, a lot of Division I student athletes play one sport. Division II, you have the flexibility to be a multi-sport student athlete. So you have to think it, again, big picture. You got to look at things like that. So.
And what I was going to say to complement that, and that's being a self-starter. We're going to the point of becoming young adults, and a lot more is expected of you as a college student compared to being a high school student. Mom and dad aren't going to be there anymore to wake you up to go to class, much less practice. And you better believe there's a lot of college football coaches who call practice at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning in season, because they want you to stay out of the nightclub and stay off the streets and go to bed at 10 or 11 at night so you can wake up and be at practice at 5 or 6 in the morning. And by the way, you've got to be able to integrate your academics with that. And it's all on you. They have tutors, they have help, but you all of a sudden are going to have to get the work done without mom or dad pushing you to get the work done. Because you do it because it's what's best for you, and it's what's going to keep your scholarship and your spot on the team.
Mental toughness is key, because you may be going away far from home, and you have other student athletes, your teammates, and you all are pushing each other, and there are a lot of elements from, now I have to go to class, I have to wake up for practice, I may need to see the trainer, I got to go to study hall, I got to eat, I got to do my laundry, I got all kinds of things. So the mental toughness, the positive attitude, and humbleness. You want to have a certain amount of confidence about yourself, but nobody wants somebody that's over cocky and just nasty. No coach wants that. They will send you packing. Even when you're in this recruiting process, you never know who's looking. Somebody may be coming to recruit your teammate, but they see you, and you're that diamond in the rough that nobody ever told them about. And they like that attitude, what they see, that as well as your talent. But they like when things are going well, you're good too. When things aren't going well, you're still working as hard.
I can say from first experience, when I went to Ohio University, I was all state going there, And what I didn't realize is that everybody else on that team was all state, and it was a rude awakening. And it took me a whole year to understand that. I mean, you talk about mental toughness, and the thing about it is that was just the track side. You still had to deal with your academics. And I was there for the academics thing. I'm thinking, okay, I gotta make sure I bust it out in the classroom. But that's a rude awakening when you think you're all that. And a lot of kids don't realize that. They think that I was 5-star, I was this and that. When you go to that school, everybody else is just as good as you are. So that's one thing to definitely remember.
3 things that I want to just touch on that particular question would be, I call the 3 C's. Character, community, and the classroom. And we already talked about the classroom enough. Academics is important. Character, who you are, what you do out there on the field. Our children have to be, as athletes, have to be that child that's going to stand out. You can't be have a bad attitude, or that child that thinks the world's going to be handed to you, and that's not going to work. And I talked about that a little bit earlier when I was talking about coachability. Well, community is events like this here, events that Andy do, things that Larry do, things that Ms. DeBerry does, at the high school, and Ms. Avery does as well. So now that I relax, I can think a little bit more about my three ideas. Character, classroom, and community. Community is very, very, very important. It's not an optional thing. Community has to be there to support all of our children.
One of the things I would stress to my kids, even with my own son, I have a son that's in the 5th grade. He's a little light-skinned kid with curly hair and blue eyes. So of course, he thinks he's Steph Curry. And the first thing I say to him is, "You're not an athletic student. You're a student athlete. Simple as that. You're a student athlete. You're a student first, athlete second." So just making sure you're going to be a proficient athlete. Take care of the classroom, and that's key. I was voted class clown, homecoming king, all that good stuff in high school. But I also was a National Honor Society. I've never gotten a C in my life, high school or college. Never. My mother told me C's meant your average, and she didn't have any average children. So that's just how I carried it. I've always done, and that's how I carried it with my sons. And so just making sure to take care of the classroom. And I stayed.
I'm Andy Hilton of Recruit 757, and it's been a fantastic time being a panelist at the Keep It Up workshop with Parents Coaching Parents. Mike has a great resource for parents, and it's never too early to start learning about recruiting, about the process, and about how to put your child in the best position to earn college scholarships. Michael is a fantastic resource for parents, and I encourage you to join the Parents Coaching Parents Network.
My name is Sean, this is my son David, he's a 9th grader. We just got some valuable information from Parents Coaching Parents workshop, some things that I know will help him, being a student athlete. So thank you for Mike, thank you.
Hi, my name is Yvette Johnson, and we just attended the Parents Coaching Parents seminar, and we got some very good information. Wait for the next one.
Mike Scott always does an awesome job in this. I wish more people come out and either learn from him, he can help them, and it's just another great workshop as always.